Namah Paramakalyana, Namah Paramamangala, Vasudevaya Shantaya, Yadunang Pataye Namaha. O most auspicious one, we bow down to you, the highest good. O famous Lord of the Yadu dynasty, O son of Vasudeva, O most peaceful one, we bow down to your lotus feet. So it is a really good morning. Today is the Krishna Festival, and all of our friends and devotees, they have participated in this program, and I was feeling, this is the real nature of celebration. So today, the title of my talk is Out of a Mountain of Despair, a Stone of Hope. Probably many of you are familiar with this metaphorical phrase. And for me, only in this August, when I was visiting Washington, D.C., our Vedanta Society is there. I think Vedanta Society of Washington, D.C., that is the name. So the Swami was kind enough to take me to show various places in Washington, D.C. And when I went there, it was Martin Luther King Memorial. So when I was visiting that place, and as you know, that I was very curious to see, because from the utterances, what people say, from there you can understand a little bit of their mind, not fully, but sometimes mind and lips may not go together. So it's true, but being careful enough. So, but when I saw that memorial, a beautiful structure stood before me, when visitors pass through a mountain of despair before encountering the stone of hope. You will see a massive granite sculpture featuring Martin Luther King Jr. emerging from it. And I took multiple photographs. But then I asked the Swami, what is that? It looks very catchy, the idea behind that. It is not the structure. Who thought about that? Who thought of this structure? Then I suddenly found that one of the that utterances of Martin Luther King, it is embedded there on the stone, written out of out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Later I came to know, then when I returned, I searched in the internet, and I saw some of the things also when I was visiting the Lincoln's Memorial, that I again found the one, a tile, a block of stone that is something was written on that. So from here, Martin Luther King delivered the famous I Have a Dream speech in 1963. And it was August. So altogether in my mind, in August, it is Janmashtami. You know, today we are celebrating Krishna Festival. In August, it is Janmashtami. It is around the date of that 15 August, 16 August, around that date. So then I thought about Mother Devaki. It was coming one by one, those thought process. So I was thinking the despair that Mother Devaki had. Sometimes we overlook her character. Then came Arjuna. So somehow I found a link in between all those that utterances, their life, and the role of Krishna. So I am trying to put all together all those thoughts, whatever came in my mind. The metaphor, so let us, when I search in internet, the idea that I have a vague idea about that, but I was right. So all those data, all those information were supporting me. So the metaphor, out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope, captures the essence of Martin Luther King Jr.'s philosophy and historical contribution. In these words, spoken during the I Have a Dream speech, King distilled centuries of African American suffering and resistance into a single poetic image. This phrase expresses both the enormity of oppression and the indomitable capacity of hope to enduring within it. This hope, that it reminded me about a smile of Krishna in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he saw the despondency of Arjuna in the battlefield. Suddenly a mysterious smile appeared in his face. So I think that is the hope. The mountain of despair, it symbolizes the weight of systematic racism, segregation, and injustice faced by African Americans. King acknowledged that despair was not a fleeting emotion, but an entrenched historical condition deeply embedded in the society. So it is interesting that it is not that denying despair. Sometimes in that popular, we have an idea, Vedanta. I have studying Vedanta. So what is the Vedanta? You realize, sab kuch jhoot hai. So everything is false. But when you go deeper, you realize the real meaning, what Vedanta says. So it is not about that denying human suffering. So not to deny despair, but to carve hope out of it. How to do that? This stone of hope reflects King's theological conviction that hope is not naive optimism, but a transformative force rooted in love, justice, and divine providence. This utterance remains one of the King's most resonant images because it fuses realism with optimism. All those things I got in internet. So, because I wanted to connect it. It is not my idea. I have imagined something and there is no connection. I forcefully wanted to connect all those. It's not like that. It's true. Every word, whatever I read, it is true. So, King refused to let despair have the last word. From within that mountain, he pointed to a stone, a small but solid piece of hope, enough to build a foundation for a new future. So then I started thinking about, let us see, human psychology and role of hope and human suffering. Then I found 4 points. It says that how hope acts as medicine for despondency. Number 1, boosts mental and physical health. Hope. You must be hopeful. How it does? Cultivating hope has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. It can also have tangible physical benefits, such as a higher functioning immune system, reduced pain, and a better prognosis for people with chronic illness. That was number 1. Number 2, fosters resilience. Hope is a mindset that promotes resilience, allowing a person to endure current struggles by maintaining the belief that a better future is possible. 4. Provides a sense of purpose. Hope is strongly linked to an enhanced sense of meaning in life. Even in the face of significant challenges, it helps shift focus from what is wrong to what is right. Number 4, rewires the brain. Hope can increase the brain's production of feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin and endorphins, while reducing stress hormones. This creates a more positive feedback loop that helps calm the nervous system. These 4 points I got. So, it's all about spiritual life, deeply connected. All those scriptures, especially our Indian philosophies, whatever I read in the commentaries, the explanation of Upanishad, whatever, I thought that is the same thing, whether reading about Patanjali's Yoga Sutra or that commentary on Upanishads. So it is giving a modern term, modern level, it is giving some modern level on that. But the thing is same, because they talked about inner mind only. So, and again, when I looked back, Martin Luther King Jr.'s contribution, his mindset, his philosophy, I found that at the heart of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s struggle lay a profound spiritual foundation. He was not merely a political leader or a social reformer, he was a preacher of the gospel of love. Rooted in the prophetic vision of Scripture, he often quoted Prophet Amos, who cried, "Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream." Again, every valley shall be lifted up, every mountain and hill made low. The same thing, that ripe ego and unripe ego, that water cannot stay in high mountain, but lower fields, lower valley, so that you can do cultivation. It will help the agriculture. Again, King drew strength from God's ancient promise that oppression is never final. Again, it reminded me, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam, dharma samasthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. The future promise, that every valley shall be lifted up, every mountain and hill made low, duskrita, mountains. So whenever there is a decline in righteousness and an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjuna, at that time I manifest myself on earth. For the protection of the good, for the destruction of the wicked, and for the establishment of dharma, I come into being in every age. Then, again, we are talking about Devaki. Sometimes we call a word in Sanskrit or Bengali or Hindi, Vishannata, Vishad, melancholy, sadness, despondency. That is the word, all those things. So, when we are here in this world, we have to face that, not denying despair. It may come, a long life. You have to fight with all those things, but two kind of mindset. So I remember, if you have a negative mindset, what will happen? Negative thoughts will come. Means you will see fault in others. But when you have a positive thought, you have a deeper thinking. That is, that negative thoughts will lead you to overthinking. You will see in your life. When you have a negative kind of, why Swami Vivekananda? Always positive, always positive. The great importance it is there to have that. So when you too much negative, you will see overthinking is coming. Nothing is happening, but if it happens, that kind of thing. But if you have a positive kind of mindset, you will see deeper thinking. You will see that on simple kind of utterance here and there, but deeper ideas will come out from the simple, from any incident, from the scripture. So I was thinking two kind of melancholy, or maybe sadness, or whatever else. One is Purna Garbha, another is Shunna Garbha. Purna Garbha means womb. Purna Garbha, it means, maybe it can be translated like that. Shunna Garbha, Shunna means zero, empty. It may be emptiness bearing melancholy or sadness. Shunna Garbha, Shunna zero, Garbha in the womb, zero will come out from that kind of melancholy. And the fullness bearing melancholy, that is Purna Garbha Vishannata. That what happened with Devaki and Arjuna. They also suffered a lot in their life. Just imagine that I will take help of Sister Nivedita for that. So before that, so for the devotee, who is the devotee? Have a positive mindset. He is a devotee. For the devotee, what will happen? When such melancholy depends, it becomes the occasion for the descent of the divine, for it is the fullness of God that dispels the darkness of the grieving heart. Something full should come. That is only who is full, who is complete. God will come. So there is a great importance of hope. So Swami Vidajananda ji, he, in his Paramartha Prasanga, in that book, he affirms that until death, one must never relinquish hope. The necessity of hope in human life is profound. It is not a fanciful notion, but an undeniable truth. So, Sister Nivedita, let us take. There's a beautiful book called Cradle Tales of Hinduism. That English is a little backdated, but you can understand the genius of Sister Nivedita. She came from Ireland, and fortunately, she got a teacher like Swami Vivekananda. I'm sure when I was reading that part of Krishna's life, I do not think that she had read the Bhagavatam in Sanskrit. It's almost impossible. She didn't get the time even. When she was 44, she passed away. But I think she got that insight from Swami Vivekananda. So this description is not exactly as the description that we get in Bhagavatam, but she that mixed together all those things, whatever from the folklores, from maybe the devotees like Golapma, Joginma, whatever they would talk about Krishna, all those things came together. So it has a different value. So she started like that. And what was the heading of that? She started with that. What was the heading? Thou supreme bliss of Devaki. You see. That in her great mind, first thing what in the pranama mantra, we'll recite, we can recite afterwards, that Devaki Paramanandam, Krishnang Bande Jagadgurum. That is the second line of a pranam mantra, of a salutation mantra. So what caught her attention? Devaki Paramanandam, thou supreme bliss of Devaki. So we are following sister, because beautiful description, beautiful. Kamsa, the tyrant king of Mathura, was wicked and oppressive beyond the power of men to bear. The very earth crying out against his injustice and evil deeds. And then, for the comforting of those who could endure no more, a prophecy began to be whispered about regarding the slaying of the tyrant. And the origin of this prophecy was indeed most strange. So it was for children, actually, she wrote. But very interesting. Kamsa had a great love for his sister Devaki and also for Vasudeva, one of his nobles, and his friend. He exerted himself, therefore, to bring about a marriage between the two. I have a sister, Devaki, and he's one of my best friends. He himself acted as charioteer to drive them both to the home of Vasudeva. But lo, on the way, a voice spoke to him from heaven, saying, "The eighth child of this couple, O tyrant, shall be a boy who in his 12th year shall slay thee with his own hands." So I was curious enough to tally to Bhagavata. No, 12 years, it was not written in that part. So, but somehow, I think afterwards it happened. When Krishna was 12, so he came to Mathura and killed Kamsa. So, from there, she picked up that particular portion. At these words, all Kamsa's love for the bride and bridegroom turned to hatred. Swiftly he turned the horses' heads and driving back to Mathura, whence they had come, cast Devaki and Vasudeva into the dungeons underneath his palace, there to endure imprisonment for life, that he might the more easily slay each child of theirs at birth. And now this had happened 7 times, that a child had been born, and Kamsa had destroyed it, save indeed one. That was the story of Balarama. Somehow Balaram was escaped, that part. A different story. Now, however, had the time come for the fulfillment of the prophecy. The 8th child was coming, they are expecting. And Devaki and husband waited in their prison for the coming of that child who should be the deliverer of his people. You see, now Nivedita's heart. How he felt. A girl came from Ireland, just arrived in India very recently, but see the inside. Because you have to open your heart. No. The heart was opened. So now she is writing, outside the wind wailed, and the rain fell, and the waters of the Jamuna rose as if in flood. Jamuna is the name of the river. The night was wild, whereon would come to earth Krishna, the holy child. Within, in the dungeons of Mathura, Devaki and her husband Vasudeva waited, trembling. It was not written, they are trembling. She thought like that. Why? For they knew that tonight of a truth would be born as their son, that soul of whom it had been foretold that he and no other was the destined slayer of Kamsa. Was it not for that very reason that they at this moment were in prison, and their hearts were sore within them? For what welcome could they offer to the coming child? We should offer something. We have nothing. Knew they not only too well that with the morning Kamsa himself would visit them to kill the child with his own hands. Terrible was the time of watching, while the storm howled without. Round them rose the bare forbidding walls of the prison, and in the heart of poor Devaki, the hope and love of a mother struggled with sadness and fear. That's why they are trembling. Slowly, slowly the hours went by till midnight, and then, just as the bell of the great water clock outside the palace began to boom out the hour, the hearts of the mother and father were filled with joy, for at the very moment their child, a little baby, had come to them. In that one brief instant, as she held him in her arms, Devaki forgot the ordeals of the morrow, forgot the cruel death that awaited her child and knew only the bliss of the mother who welcomes the newly born. Just like okay, his mind, like a coal mine, suddenly you discover a piece of diamond. In mind, darkness inside. Outside, darkness. Suddenly, in her lap, there was a child. That is hope. And just try to think about that. Already she lost her the children. So how much time it would take? At least, nothing was written, but you can imagine, maybe 8 years, 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, who knows? You never know. And then again, after 12 years, that moment will come. So just think about the time. So in her lap, there was this hope baby. At the moment of his birth, the prison was filled with a soft light streaming out from a child himself, and as he lay back in his mother's lap, they saw shining out from behind him 4 arms. So that part I want to skip. They saw like Narayana, the Vishnu himself there. But so they started praising that Narayana, some hymns. You can find beautiful hymns in Bhagavata. Then again the Maya descended upon them. They forgot what they saw. So again, but as the salutations ended, the veil of Maya descended upon them once more, and the child appeared to them as their own baby. All about them now, however, they heard voices. Somewhere, what is that? Can you hear something? So, as first they did not trust to their own ears, thinking the sounds were of the wind and rain. But presently, listening, they heard distinctly the words, "Arise, take the young child and leave him in the house of Nanda." Who is Nanda? Chief of the cowards, in the village of Gokula, and bring hither the girl child who has just been born there. Now, Sister Niveta was following the mind of Vasudeva. What could be meant by telling a prisoner unable to leave his prison to rise and carry a baby to a village on the far side of the Yamuna? How could Vasudeva open the dungeon doors? How could he pass the guards? How, if he did all this, would he be able to cross the Yamuna itself on coming to it at this late hour? Yet the feeling of some incomprehensible power was strong upon them, and they were full of terror for the fate of the child on the morrow. So Vasudeva yielded himself to the bidding of the unknown. There's a song, what was that? There's a song of Tagore Khan. So what is unknown? Why you are so much fearful about unknown? Let us sing glory to unknown. So you can understand logically that it was impossible. But inside, some incomprehensible power. They out of the power was strong upon them. And Vasudeva yielded himself to the bidding of the unknown. This is called good samaskara in our life also. Sometimes, many, especially in the life of the seekers of truth, that is the thing. You do not know where you are stepping on now, next step. After 1 hour, what will happen, you never know. But some good samaskara, that's why we always talk, do sat karma, do good karma. It will leave some good impression. That good impression will lead you. Swami Vivekananda always told about that. Bad karma also there, bad impressions are there. They are ready to jump on you like a tiger. But good karma, those impressions, they are ready to save you like 100 gods and angels. So, but here it was a lila, divine play. It was more than some samaskaras. He arose, lifted the child, covered him with his own garment, and staff in hand, went forward to the prison entrance. To his amazement, the bolts slid back, the locks turned, the chains fell softly, and the heavy doors swung outwards of their own accord before them. Outside, the guards and soldiers slumbered heavily, and no one woke as Vasudeva, with the child Krishna hidden beneath his robe, passed into the open road. Again, so the metaphor, that is brilliance of Nivedita. So when you hold God in your heart or your lap, whatever else, so automatically what will happen in your life? Some unthinkable things will happen in your life. So bolts slid back in our life. You never know how it happened. But you must be sincere. You must be sure that you are holding God. That sincerity and surety you want. When you do that, automatically the bolts slid back, locks turned, and chains fell softly. And heavy doors swung outwards of their own accord before them, and before him. And what happened? That he passed into the open road. An open road. Here the storm was even worse than it had sounded from within the prison. Heavily the warm rain fell, and the winds raged, and the man's heart was heavy with foreboding as he listened to the rushing of the great river in the distance and wondered how he should reach its farther bank. He was thinking. Now again, she took help of some folklore, what he heard from the devotees. It's a beauty of this her description. What he saw, at this very moment, in the darkness before him, he saw a jackal, and silently resolved to take the wild creature as his guide. On went the animal, on followed the man, until they came to the riverside. Then the jackal plunged in at a certain place and proceeded to make his way over, and Vasudeva, seeing that here there must be a ford, a shallow land, that water was not much there, he can step in. Step after step went across in his wake, and men say that in the guise of this jackal, for protection of the divine child, it was Mother Durga, Queen of heaven and Mother of the universe, who had come to earth that night. So I was thinking, probably, I do not know, I am not sure about that, jackal we call Shiva, that's why, Shiva. Shiva, especially Shakti worship. Sometimes we offer Shiva Bali. Shiva Bali, you offered some, you prepare some food during the puja, as you give you prepare some offering. You prepare a different bowl also full of some foods, and some assistant of priest of the pujari would take that one, maybe where there is some kind of woods. In Belur Math, at the corner of the where you can find some jackal maybe. So without seeing, you just put that one. Who knows? Behind all those rituals, maybe that kind of belief. So the common belief is it was Mother Durga who came in a form of a jackal and helped Vasudeva to cross over the Jamuna. And another small observation. But it is told that as they went, the child, the baby, grew heavier and heavier in his father's arms, till all at once he slipped and would have drowned. Only just in time he caught him back and bore him safely on. For Mother Yamuna, the river, also longed to take the Lord into her keeping, and hold him for a moment to her breast. This is the heart of devotee. They think in that way. You may remember similar kind of story when Holy Mother, Sarda Devi, he taking some kind of relics of Sri Ramakrishna, like hair and all those things. It's a Hindu kind of ritual. So she went to various, to Prayag, when she was visiting Prayag, after I think Hardwar and all those, that tour. When he went to the Prayag. Prayag is the confluence of three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So in that particular spot where the three rivers is pouring their water all together, there she just wanted to put that little here or something of Sri Ramakrishna there. After passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, I'm saying. So then she observed from nowhere a wave came out, and it took away that relic, maybe here or nail, I do not know that part. So she told that that river also was eager to embrace that holy memory of Avatara. So anyhow, it came into her mind. At last came Vasudeva with his precious burden to the village of Gokula and to the dwelling place of Nanda, the king of cowherds. Softly the door of the great farmhouse opened before him, and still obeying the same gentle guidance that had led him forth from the prison, he entered and saw a light burning in the first room within the doorway. So what I noticed in that line, still obeying the same gentle guidance that had led him forth from the prison. That gentle, you see how she used that word, that gentle guidance. In our heart, we are thinking, so where are you, God? You are not looking after us. No, always that God in your from that hidden that room, or that he's a soul of souls, we call soul of soul. So from there he is guiding you. Sometimes we call Viveka, and Sri Ramakrishna sometimes that Mahut Narayana, that who was guiding that wild elephant like our mind. And there is a Mahut also, the checker who check the elephant. So he is also the conscience or Viveka, that gentle guidance is there. So you have to be attentive to that. The lamb stood by the bedside of a sleeping mother and a newborn child. Quietly, Vasudeva bent down and exchanged the children. To the farmer chieftain's wife, he gave the infant he carried, and from her side he took the little daughter who slept there. Then, without a word, he turned and went back by the way he had come to the dungeons of Kamsa in the city of Mathura, and gave the girl child of Nanda to his own wife, Devaki. Great was the rejoicing amongst the cowherds when they all woke up in the morning and found that the child whom they remembered as a girl was really a boy. So for this was the only explanation of the mystery that occurred to them. Probably we are wrong. It is said that, now again following folklore, it is said indeed that morning there was no food to eat in the house of Nanda. Why? For all the pots of milk and curd fell from the hands of the women when they heard the news in their astonishment and delight. But then thousands of people came, and everyone was fed, and wealth was distributed, and there was great rejoicing. So this is always kept in India as Nanda's feast, Nandotsava, we call the festival of Nanda, in the house of Nanda. And on the day before, as the people believe, there is always rain. Following folklore, again, common beliefs. But in the stronghold of Kamsa, it was told that morning that a child had been born in the night to Devaki and Vasudeva. Then was the heart of the tyrant hot within him, and he came down into the dungeons in prison, attended by all his guards, that he might with his own hands slay this child, who, it was said, had been born to be his destroyer. So he came to the king's amazement. However, he found that the child was not a boy at all, but a girl. Had Kamsa been less wicked and tyrannical, he would have rested here. A girl could hardly, at the age of 12, be the slayer of a man. And the prophecy had pointed distinctly to a boy. But evil men are blinded by their own wickedness. That was the line. That's why I'm reading that one. So, nobody is enemy. We are, our enemy is we only. So how evil men are blinded by their own wickedness, they will start taking wrong decisions. The very unexpectedness of the event enraged him, and he put out his hand to seize the child by the foot and dash it to pieces against the prison walls. As he touched it, however, to the astonishment of all present, the seeming child slipped from his grasp, and high above their heads rose the shining form of a goddess. He who shall slay thee, O king, is even now growing to manhood, she said mockingly, in the village of Gokula on the far side of the Yamuna. And then, as they looked, the radiant being faded away, and none could tell even the direction in which she had disappeared. So that is the another reason we believe in following the rituals. We start first worship of Mother Durga that day. Means the Kathama Puja, sometimes it is the day of, as if that Mother Durga appeared. So we start the worshipping, the first making of the idol of Mother Durga. That all those bamboo sticks, all those structures, the soil you gathered, you do some kind of ritual. So what happened? Now we have to overlook some of the incidents, many of the incidents of the Krishna, because we are concentrated on try to think about Devaki, what happened to Devaki. So what happened? By the advice of his, but anger and deep frustration filled the heart of Kamsa, the tyrant, when he heard what this goddess told. For many years after, he found no peace, as he burned with the desire to defeat the gods and destroy the child Krishna before he grew old enough to kill him. So there are many emissaries that he sent to Gokula to kill the little child, like their various names. Some kind of Sister Nivedita, he used this word, vampire nurse, for Putana. So Putana came so to kill him. And then Arishtasur, there are different names of demons. So whatever, some of them can change their shape out of will. Some could fly in the sky. All those stories. And in the disguise of a bull, sometimes a disguise of a storm, they came. All those things for next 12 years. It happened. And we should not also forget that is the time when the Krishnas, that beautiful divine play in Vrindavan with Gop and Gopis, with cowherd boy and girls, all those things happen. So, but when Kamsa found that I have to take some different, now because it is almost 12 years since the child went to the Gokula. So I have to take some kind of different plan. So he planned, it was decided that to hold a great sacrifice in Mathura, the capital. Mathura is the city. In the capital of Mathura, they hold a great sacrifice with many days of games and feasting. Different kind of games he arranged. From we want to invite our young boys from every corner of my kingdom, and they will play some game, compete with each other. Different kind of games. The cowherds were invited along with Nanda, who served the king, and Krishna and his brother Balarama, who were his relatives. So he sent Akrura, one of his nobles, one of his counselors, And he was a very pious gentleman, Akrura. So he went there, and so that they should not, have any doubt. Behind the Akrura is a nice man, he's a noble person, he came, so we can trust on him. But so, anyhow, so Akrura, Krishna and Balaram were driven to the city instead in the chariot of the royal messenger. But on reaching the gates of Mathura, they insisted on alighting. Now we have reached Mathura, I want to see the city. They would not fail to present themselves at the tournament the next day. Already they were attired in accordance with their true rank as young nobles about to be received for the first time at court. So things went on, and first, when they are about to enter with other cowherds' boys, so under the instruction, under the command of Kamsa, they send a mad elephant. Krishna killed that elephant, and taking those tasks in both of his hands, he entered in that in the arena. All round were ranged the seats and galleries for different sections of the spectators. When he entered, he saw that stadium. What kind of stadium? So one division had been prepared for the cowherds, another for the royal clan of the Vrishnis, a third for the citizens and townfolk of Mathura, and so on. High at one end of the lists towered the royal seat of Kamsa, draped and garlanded and decked with banners and auspicious ornaments. Opposite were the arrangements being made for the public sacrifice. He saw all those things. Then there was a announcement. What kind of announcement? Now one of the greatest wrestlers of the Kamsa's army, Chanura and Mustika, they will play with Krishna, a wrestling competition. So Chanur will face with Krishna, and Mustika with Balarama, two brothers. So it was a very terrible fight, and at the end, that I can read a little bit of that portion. Chanura part was excellent. So, Chanura, chief of the king's wrestlers, came forward and sounded it. It was, he announced, the royal command that the two brothers who stood before them should offer an exhibition of the famous wrestling of Vrindavana cowherd. It's a different gharana, different style of Vrindavana, of wrestlers. They have a different style. So, I invite them to show all those tricks, all those skills of that special kind of wrestling. And to gratify their sovereign in this matter, he himself was willing to give them a battle. So now I myself offer I offer myself to fight with this Krishna. Now Krishna well understood the trap that was laid for himself and his brother. In the smooth and honeyed words of the challenge thus delivered, they were to make a spectacular display only for the amusement of the onlookers, of the strange ways of wrestling in vague amongst the cowherds. But their adversaries would have secret orders from Kamsa to put forth all strength at some unexpected moment and kill them both as if by accident. That was their plan. So instead of giving the counter-challenging direct, therefore, he answered in the same complimentary style that the wrestler had used, that if the king really wished to see the wrestling of the cowherds, he would prove the fact by giving himself and his brother as their antagonists, boys of their own age. So it was some kind of, tactics. So he told, okay, send some boys of my same age. Why Chanura? But what happened? At this, Chanura lost all patience. You say this? He cried. You, whose hands but now were wet with blood of an infuriated elephant, whose strength was as that of 1,000, your strength is not that of mere lads. You are amongst the most powerful beings in the world. So Chanura realized this Krishna is not an ordinary thing. So they then started that fight, and the description was very nice, but I cannot read all those things. So he killed Chanura. And it was a terrible fight, and Nivedita told very nicely, just an eagle, how it grasped a snake, that was the way Krishna hold one hand of Chanura and killed him, and throw him against that hard floor, and Kamsa was died. Chanura died. But the eyes now Kamsa. But the eyes of Kamsa had been growing larger and larger with terror. As one by one he had seen his wrestlers slain. At the end of the third combat, he had marked the sudden flight of the whole remaining staff of gladiators. And now the fight that to him was so serious was degenerating into the harmless and unseemly revel, with the sympathy of all those around him whose hearts out, as he felt he had been with him. The king rose to his feet, and at first choking with rage, but afterwards in clear, loud tones, silenced the trumpets and called to his guards, "Stop, you need not to play that drums now." He called his guards, his army, and told, "Drive out these youths, and arrest and bind the chieftain Nanda, with all his followers. Let Vasudeva here be slain, slay Ugrasena, my father, and his attendants, and all with them who are the friends of Krishna. Slay, slay." Now the real, the nature of Kamsa, everyone understood. Nobody should be, I want to kill, everyone I want to kill. Who are there in the list? Kill Vasudeva, kill Ugrasena, my father, kill Nanda, and all those followers of Krishna. Slay. But before the king's order had been comprehended by any other, almost before he had resumed his seat, Krishna had leaped to the royal dais. Truly, it had been foolhardy by thus attacking all who were dear to him, so to provoke the protector of the universe. Seeing Krishna so close and knowing that the moment long dreaded was come upon him, Kamsa rose to his feet and drew his sword, but the cowherd, that is Krishna, grasped him by the hair of his head, and at the touch his crown fell off. Then down from the dais jumped the youth, bearing the king with him. Powerless in his grasp, he threw him to the ground in the arena, and a moment later dragged him all around it, even, says the historian, as a lion might drag a dead elephant, that all his subjects might see that their king was slain. That was the scene, most heroic scene. Then after all those things, they came in front of that his father and mother. That in front of him was standing Devaki and Vasudeva. What they did, so they saw that he is not an ordinary boy. He is the Vishnu himself. All those memories came in their mind. But they started again praising, again Maya. It descended on them, and they took him in her lap. And thus, that was the end of that part. Kamsa was slain, and he made Ugrasena the king of Mathura, the father of Kamsa. So, long after that, we want to conclude Devaki Paramanandam, that one. Long after this incident, the killing of the again unruly king Jarasandha, all those things happened. One day, Devaki, she remembered during Krishna's stay at his guru's ashrama, hermitage, Sandipani. At the end of that schooling, you have to go give Guru Dakshina. You have to pay the Guru something, because that you got this education, like free education you got. So there's a custom, you have to pay something, not sometimes money, anything. So Sandipani, he wanted, or maybe the wife of Sandipani, they wanted their lost child back, who has died long ago. So it is, the story goes like that. Krishna went to the Patala Loka, the Loka of the deaths, and brought back the son and placed him in front of his Guru. So Devaki, now he wanted Bhojaraja hatan putran kamaye drashtum arhatan. So Krishna, I remember you did that kind of miraculous thing. Can you bring your 6 elder brothers in front of me? So Krishna, a story went like that. Krishna went to the Sutalapuri. Sutala, there's again mythology, only mythology, different kinds of that nether worlds. Atal, Vital, Talatal, like that, various kind of thing. So it is so he went to Sutalapuri. In the Sutalapuri, the king, was Bali, the demon king, the great devotee, and Bali also a great devotee who have heard of the story of Vamana avatar, the dwarf avatar. You can find out his story. He is a great devotee, and his father also a great devotee, Prahlad. Yeah. So he went there and just he placed his request, rather like an order. The Bali, I came here, and Bali worshipped him. He knew all those things, that I came here to take my mother's 6 deceased sons. Please. And this is their story. They are actually that gods who are cursed by some sages. So they came, and that's why their death was untimely death kind of thing. So I came here to take them. So taking all of his brothers, these 6 sons were in truth gods, cursed to be born in this manner. When they appeared before their mother, her heart overflowed with maternal affection. She showered them with love and tenderness. Once the curse were lifted, they returned to their divine abode. By granting Devaki the vision of her lost children, for a mother, it is Parama Ananda. No, who lost her sons. Ananda, we understand, ordinary joy. But Ananda, when you get back your all lost sons, children. So that's why Krishna became the cause of her supreme bliss. So that is the end of the story part, Devaki's part. So let us offer our pranam, and God can do for us that some unbelievable things if we became we have a heart like Devaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Nama. Again and again we offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna, Hari, the son of Vasudeva. That supreme soul, Govinda, vanquishes the suffering of all who surrender to him. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.